Hello, everybody. It's Donna Cravata, and we are back again with another Real 50 Over 50 interview. And today we have Sara Canuso with us. And I'm just going to give a little brief intro about Sara, and then we're going to dive into a conversation. Sara is the leading authority on women in the workplace. She's the founder and president of Women That Influence, a women's consulting firm that inspires women to shift their mindsets, to maximize their potential, and to achieve a higher level of success, both personally and professionally. Through speaking engagements, corporate seminars, workshops, and her book, You've Always Had the Power, Sara shares her empower, elevate, and impact philosophy to thousands of people every year. So, welcome, Sara. It's always good to spend time with you.
Thank you, Donna. It's so good to see you and be here with you and be here with everyone who's here to listen and share some thoughts and listen to listen to my journey. And it was funny because when I initially joined you, 50 over 50, I think I had asked you. I said, "Well, does it matter?" I mean, at this point, I'm 23 years over, past the 50 mark. And I think I teased you saying we need 70 over 70. But it's always great to, I guess I feel like I'm 50. And so,
We have women all the way up to 85.
okay, so I'm still able to,
You're
I'm,
you're you're
I'm
in
still
good
able to
company.
come into the under the wire a little bit. But thank you, Donna, for this opportunity because I always feel that it's great to share stories, and I love hearing people's stories of how they've gone through ups and downs. And as well as everyone else listening to this, there are highs and lows, and that we go through. And it's all about really staying focused and putting your stake in the ground and realizing that it's my right and my responsibility to decide who I am and where I'm going. And I do feel once I realized that, everything changed for me.
Yeah, because you realize you have your answers. You're not looking externally for them, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and
And,
then everything else
so,
works around that.
for me, I started working at the age of 14. So that's like 57 years now, 59 years. So
Mhm.
59 years. And I'm not complaining because I feel as though I've been very blessed to be able to work all of those years. And when I first started, I was a dental hygienist. I was a dental hygienist for 59 years and became very comfortable. And I think that's what happens with a lot of women, a lot of us, that we become so comfortable with what we're doing and where we are that we do not believe or feel there's a bigger life out there
Yeah,
waiting for us.
yeah.
And it was very difficult for me to leave after 59 years. After not 59 years, I worked for 37 years at a dental office, and it was very difficult for me to leave. But once I left, it was like bird
Yeah.
cage opened, and I just started flying and never stopped
Well, you
until this.
realize there's a whole other world out there. You were in a very contained place for so long, for decades, and
Yeah,
you lose sight of what's out there in the world and how the world is growing and changing while you're cleaning people's teeth.
yeah, and I do think that also it becomes. You have ideas. And at the time I was working in the dental office and I had all of these ideas that I wanted to do. I wanted to start my own company, my own business. And here's what people would say: "You know nothing about
Yeah,
business. Why would
yeah,
you do that?" And I'm
yeah,
like, okay, okay.
yeah. You
Um,
you could have told them you were going to the moon, and they would have had the same reaction.
yeah. And then it's like, well, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'll I'll do presentations, I'll speak. And they're like, who would listen to you?
Yeah.
That's the response I got.
And you have to go through that trajectory of thinking somebody knows more than you know about yourself, and you have to go through that piece, and it's hard. It's very hard.
It is hard to go through, but I will tell you now, I don't care what anyone says that I can or cannot do. I'm like,
Yeah,
and I just go, Thank you. And I just keep moving forward.
You have the evidence.
I have the evidence. So the funny part is when I left the dental office, because I was trying to get my feet and, you know, feet on the ground and figure out just what I wanted to do. I wanted a job where I made commission because I knew I was good at selling. So I started working as a professional clothier.
Mm-hmm.
My husband said, "You are kidding me. You don't even know how to sew a button." And I said, "I'll learn."
Mm-hmm.
So I share this story because this is what led to me starting Women that Influence.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a professional clothier, I would go around to offices and I did a lot of custom clothing. And I would sit in the office and I'd say, I worked with a lot of attorneys because attorneys need suits and have to go into court.
I worked at a law firm. We always had somebody come to the office to clothe the partners.
Right. So I would say to the receptionist, is today the company picnic? And then she'd say, no. And I'd say, this is how they come dressed to work. So what happened was there's a newspaper, the Legal Intelligencer. I started writing for the Legal Intelligencer. I called them on the phone and said, do you ever accept articles from outside contributors? And they said, yes. Um, so I sent them over an article and they wound up giving me my own column and it was
Mm-hmm.
called The Winning Look. And I wrote the column for 3 years. But what happened was I started receiving phone calls saying, and the articles were like, are you guilty of color malfunction? And step up to the bench and, all things relating to court. So I started receiving the phone calls from law firms saying, can you come and do a presentation to the company, our associates? And I really was not able to do that and to get paid while working for the clothier company. So I decided to one day quit my job and I
Mm-hmm.
started my own company. And I very quickly found the name of the company was A Suitable Solution because I
Mm-hmm.
made suits and all. But I very quickly found that I built the website. I, had all my cards made, stationery made, everything I needed to do. And I realized probably about a year into it that I was going in the wrong direction. So I love working with women. And so I tore everything down, rebranded the company to name Women That Influence. And that was, I did that for like 11 years. And then what happened was from there, I started getting, not only law firms, but women's organizations. I spoke at Staples for their women's conference, GlaxoSmithKline. So my focus was really on empowering women because I realized this was the interesting part. I started out by branding the outer image for people, but what I found was it really was the inner image that
Yeah.
needed to be branded.
Yeah. That's where the work always is.
And you listen, a company could if outer clothing is the answer, then it would, it's fine for a company to write a check and say, here, go buy some suits or buy some
Mm-hmm.
dresses or buy whatever shoes, whatever you need. But it was really the inner image that people were struggling with. So that's what really led me to a whole different path with working with women to really, really, focus on what their beliefs were.
Mm-hmm.
And I soon found that so many of us were not living our own story, but we were living a story that we've inherited from parents, from siblings, from teachers, from other people who, just keep adding the baggage and the beliefs. And people say, oh, Donna, who do you think you are? You can never do that. Or people would say to me, oh, Sarah, who do you know,
Yeah. When I quit my job and started my business, my family stopped speaking to me because they were like, she's going to need money. She's a single mom. We don't want to give her money. So They just stepped away.
Yeah, so that's really and that's really I have no doubt. I have no doubt that and so many out there who are in situations where you're paying the rent, where you're paying
Mhm.
you're a single parent, or your husband's maybe not making, just about making ends meet and is counting on your income, or that you're out there with, I encountered so many women that said, listen, I would love to do that, but I have two kids, I have bills to pay, and everything's depending on me. So that's
Mhm.
really that. I mean, Donna, I don't have to tell you, you've walked that path. It's really, it's really very challenging. It's very,
And sometimes you need somebody to believe in you before you could believe in yourself. You need somebody to see it first because you can't see it. You're
Mhm.
too enmeshed in that story and the responsibilities.
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of times that when we have so much going on, so we have so much going on in our head, it's so the noise inside of our head, the chaotic vibration inside of our head is just you honestly cannot think straight. You cannot think clearly because there's just the noise inside of your head is just unbearable at times. So you just say, You know what? I'll just stick to what I know. I'll stick to what I have." And that's really, that's really what so many people do. Donna, one of the things I go to the cemetery. I go to the cemetery a couple times a year because both my parents and my husband's parents are there. We have friends there. But I have to share with you, and for those listening out there, I always sit in the car in the cemetery and I look at all the gravestones and I think to myself, how many people went to their graves not living a life that was meant for them,
Yeah.
or not living a dream that they had. And it really does, I can't tell you how that impacts me.
Yeah.
It really, I just see it and I'm like, wow, I think about these people that really went to their grave believing things that were not true, the things that were not true,
Yeah.
or things that, I don't know. It really does. It really impacts me, and I think there's so many people out there that are just you feel it. You feel it in your gut. There's always something that's pulling at you, saying, "Hey, you know what? There is more out there waiting for you."
Yeah,
With
I felt it. Like when I was working in law firms, I was constantly um, finding something else within the firm. I would go find something that was broken, something that didn't work, something that
Mhm.
was a system that was 70 years old that didn't work anymore.
Yeah,
And I would just start fixing things. And because of that, they created a role for me that was specifically for me. But I couldn't sit still and just do my assigned job.
yeah,
I had to, go find the things that didn't work and fix them. And there were quite a few.
yeah. So it's interesting. My word for this year is trust and gratitude. They're the two
Mhm.
words that are with me every single day because I trust. I'm very spiritual. I trust. So whatever you believe in, whether it's God's, the universe, but I trust that God has my back and the universe knows where I'm meant to be. Um, and gratitude. I'm so grateful every single day of what I have and what I just am every single day. I get up in the morning, first thing I do is say thank you. I thank God for like another day to have purpose, passion, because I will tell you very honestly that once I really crossed over 70, things really changed because
Mm,
I just felt the need and the necessity to really live each day with passion and purpose and, really happiness, peace. That's I don't really, I shared with you I'm leaving for Italy May 1st, which is great, which is wonderful. But to me, the most important thing that I could be doing is living a life of peace and happiness and passion and purpose.
Yeah. And that happens when you just start eliminating the things that bring chaos and into your life, whether it be people or clients or work or whatever.
Yeah. That's the other thing. That's the other thing. You really need to take inventory.
Mhm.
I mean, we take inventory of our closet, we take inventory of our cabinets, our refrigerator, and we're always throwing around things that are no longer serving us or things that have expired. Um, and do we really do that for ourselves? And one of the things that I always, when I would speak at conferences, I would always say that the thing that amazes me the most is we put security alarms on and on our car, on our homes. We put things in safe deposit box. Yet we leave our minds wide open for people to just come in and rob our thoughts, rob our happiness, rob our peace of mind, and just stomp all over our thoughts and our daily. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So it was interesting. When I first realized this, I'm like, I had a picture of beautiful gates right on my desk. And I looked at those gates every day. I put the pictures of the gate in the frame and I said, okay, I'm really, really being very careful of who I allow through those gates.
Yeah, you have to. And sometimes people don't even realize that you've invited them in. It could be something you read or something you watched on television or a movie or a song. So it comes in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And it's up to us to really, to monitor that gate.
Yeah. And I'm a firm believer and that my journey has led me down so many different paths. And at times we feel that, oh, okay, we get derailed. We have, things that throw us off track. My biggest blessings and opportunities have been when I have been derailed,
Okay, let's
when I've
talk
been
about that.
thrown off track.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Share some of
So,
those stories.
so what happened was, I was traveling, I was hopping on trains, planes, automobiles, and speaking all over. And I had to have my knee replaced, and then I had breast cancer, all within like 2 months. So I was just exhausted physically, mentally, and so I had to really slow things down. And I realized that I needed to make a change. And I received a phone call from someone asking me to go and speak with someone who was looking for someone to work with, a coach and a mentor, and help with some marketing and so forth. Um, and not to be rude or burn bridges behind me, I went for the interview. I went to meet with Cheryl Acton, as you know, and she's amazing. And the whole ride there, I was practicing what I was going to say is how I could not work with her. And that was the whole ride down. Okay, I want to be polite. I want to say this and that. And then when I met her, bingo, I started working with her and then started working with her part time. And then that led me into working with her pretty much full time and led me into selling for her company. She has a dynamic story.
Mhm.
And so I've been with her actually 8 years now,
Wow.
8 years now. And that was from one phone call and that I was not going to take.
Mhm.
And I was like, so I always say to people when you're thrown off track or when you're derailed, or just look at it as a detour.
Yeah.
as a detour. And I'm telling you that when I tell you that so many times, so many blessings have been and opportunities have come during that detour.
Yeah. And when that happens with me, I often think that I was not making the best decisions for myself. So there was an intervention to put me back on track.
Right. And that's the thing. I say, okay, and that's why I say trust. I trust
Mhm,
that okay, this was meant to be. Okay.
mhm,
This was meant to be. This was part of the plan. This was part of the plan.
mhm.
This was part of the plan. But I do, and I love the group 50 over 50 because I honestly believe that when you cross over that 50 line, you do have a whole different outlook on
You
things.
really do.
You do. I mean, and I'm sure with you, um, having the opportunity to meet so many women uh, over that crossing line, you can see how things just they change.
Totally change. And what I love about now, you are our 56th interview.
Wow,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, and we're booked all the way into January. I think the next available interview is February.
Wow. Mm,
It grew.
yeah.
And I'm putting together the 7th and the 8th panels. So, I mean,
Well,
it's
I
been
think the reason it's growing, Donna, and I see that it's growing is I think the reason it's growing is because it's so nice to be with women who are at a different level of their life, of their career, of their journey. It is very different. It's very different than someone who's just starting in their 20s and their 30s, and it's just different. It's different.
it
I'm
is
not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's better. I'm not saying it's worse. It's different.
there's a grounding to it. And I mean, and like a community grounding, like everybody is in a different sense of grounding in their lives and in their communications and relationships and connections. And then there are some definite common themes for
Right.
the conversations. But then there's this whole like, everyone's flying their freak flag, everybody's totally different. But
Mhm.
then there are these common themes, and these common themes are so deeply rooted. It's like bigger than all of us, you know?
Mhm.
It's not just you like this there's a commonality between what's going on in your life and my life. It's something that is like an undercurrent that
Yeah.
just happens. And one of the things that I realized through all of this is I'm about to turn 60. May 1st is actually my birthday.
Oh, wow.
I'm gonna
Okay.
turn 60. And like just having the conversations with women everywhere between the ages of 50 and 85. And there are quite a few in the 60s to 70 range. That's where
Right.
most of the women are. But like when I have the conversations with women that are newly minted 50, they're 51, 52, it feels like the teenage years to me, like they're just getting started on
Well,
this whole new path.
it's interesting you say that, Donna, because I share with everyone that when I turned 50, that was that's when I really felt my best. And I'll tell you why. Because when I turned 50, there were so many light bulbs that went off in my head. And there were so many opportunities that were presenting themselves to me. And I was like, wow, this is like you say, it's like a teenager. You're like, wow, this
Yeah.
is so great. So yeah, so it's when I turn 50, because you'll find people say, "Oh, I'm going to be turning 50. It's horrible. I'm dreading it." And I tell everyone when I turned 50, I felt my best.
Yeah.
I felt my best.
Me
Now, I
too.
will be honest with you, when I turned 70, it was a different feeling.
Okay.
Yeah,
Talk
it was
about that.
well, it was a different feeling because I felt my life and my time and my decisions were so much more um, precious and I value them so much more, and I
Mhm.
value my choices so much more. I think a lot more before I make a final choice, as far as even with people I associate with,
Mhm.
even with existing friends.
Mhm.
You know, um, what is it that, I just feel that my crossing over 70. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I don't know how long I'll live. Am I going to live to be 100? I doubt it. But my time and my days just became so much more valuable. I'm more protective. I'm
Yeah.
more I'm more protective now than since I just turned 73. So I'm in this for like 3 years already. But when I turned 70, I was like, okay, we're going to be a little bit more protective here, a little bit more
Discerning.
yeah, yeah. So it really and do you want to know something? Quite honestly, I found that I spend a lot more time with myself.
Mhm.
I do. I spend a lot more time with myself because when I'm with myself, it's just a different kind of peace. I do
Mhm.
a lot more meditating, which when I was younger, I would never think about sitting down meditating or, hopping in a big fat bubble bath and just, Calgon take me away. Uh, I I treat myself a lot better now. As far as I'll go for massages, go for walks. I take better care of my body. I take better care of my body, and I absolutely take better care of my mind, my
Mm.
brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very protective.
And that's good.
Yeah, very protective.
Good. That's gotta feel good. That's gotta feel empowering to you.
It does feel empowering, and I will tell you, there's a definitely connection between your health, your mind. I just, if I'm being very transparent, I wish I would have taken better care of my mind and my body through these years. I really did. I abused it.
Yeah,
I
oh, you feel invincible, right?
yeah, yeah, I abused it. I was a big time smoker. I smoked for like 35 years. I was a big time partier,
Mhm.
um, big time partier. And, I just really, I didn't worry about sleeping. I didn't worry about, tomorrow's another day and, oh, that'll be fine. I could do that. But I do wish that I had taken better care of myself. So now I'm trying to do that now.
Well, it's whatever you're doing is working
Thank you.
because you're living a very full life and you're living on your terms,
Yeah.
and you look amazing, you're beautiful,
Thank you. Thank you. I try.
and you're traveling and
I'm traveling. Yes, I'm traveling and,
doing work that matters to you.
yeah. And I had this is a very interesting new piece to my life. So where I live, there's a park next to where I live, and the park became very disheveled, and they actually feed the homeless. There's a church here, so they feed the homeless there Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And so I decided to revitalize the park, bring it back to life. Now, I want you to understand, I have artificial plants in my house that I kill. I'm not a gardener. I'm not a gardener. So I meet up with someone at Shirley who she's going to give me some guidance. And a stranger walks up to me and he says to me, "Hi, what are you doing?" And I said, "Well, we're going to bring the park back to life." And he said, "Well, can we help? Is there any way we could help?" Now he's referring to the homeless people that
Mhm.
are fed. And I'm like, "Sure." They call them guests because they're guests of the church for lunch 3 days a week. So I said, "Sure." Now I'm thinking, how's this going to work? I have to tell you, I'm working on this project. It's 2.5 months. I have never felt such joy as I have doing this park. My group, my team that is helping me bring this park back to life, I have 10 of them.
Hmm.
They have taken on this. Yesterday was a big day that we did a lot of work. They were supposed to arrive at 9:30. I got out there at 9 because I had equipment to get. They're all waiting there for me.
Wow.
Point I'm trying to share with everyone is this piece of giving back, of my giving back and being a part of this group, and I'm calling them amazing people because these people live in shelters. And here I am, two beautiful homes. And I think to myself, wow, how blessed and grateful am I? But I have learned more from this group of people than I probably have over the past year from other people that I've listened to or books that I've read.
Yeah.
So I always suggest to people, if you want to really feel passion and purpose, get involved. Get involved with doing something with other people.
Outside of your
Yeah,
regular circles.
yeah, outside of my regular circles. Yeah. So it's really it's this has really been a blessing. But I look at it that I have been very, very fortunate. I've met thousands and thousands of women over the course of my journey, and I just see that when I see someone that's really not claiming their life or claiming their gifts and their talents. So we're all giving gifts. We're all giving gifts and talents, but what happens is so many times they're so beaten down inside of us. We feel like we can't find them anymore.
We do lose them. We lose them.
Yeah.
And there's big chunks of us missing.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really been great working with so many women, and I have to tell you, um, it's been so fabulous working with Cheryl because I was doing a lot of speaking. Now I help Cheryl with her speaking, her speaking circuits, and I also help with her with working with the company with this.
Mhm,
She has a commercial industrial cleaning company that she started 31 years ago, cleaning two offices at night to make extra money. And
mhm.
fast forward, she now has over 800 employees,
Wow.
21 states. And she did all this while going through a horrific divorce and having a child in need of quite extensive surgeries. So, I look to her and she's really like, whoo, I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
very, 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 very impressive, very impressive. So it's when I meet people and when I have the opportunity to speak or go on to different conferences, it's always so interesting to hear everyone's story. That's why I love reading these books that have a book full of
The collaborative books.
30 different stories. Yeah,
We're
because
gonna
it's
be creating one for this
I
project.
I know you are. I know you are. Yeah. And I'm grateful that I've met so many of your women through your this 50 over 50, and there are some really
Yeah.
really interesting stories. But
Yeah.
I think it's nice to hear stories.
Yeah. I mean, they either inspire hope or realizations,
Mhm.
validations. Somebody reached out to me earlier this week, or maybe it was last week. I don't know. It's a blur, but she's actually just turning 40, and she wants to create an event where women in our age group are speaking to younger women. And we have a lot of younger women that listen to these stories and watch these interviews, and men too. I actually had somebody reach out to me I sent an email about the upcoming events for the month, and he responded to my email saying, "Well, I don't know how I got on this list. I'm a man and I'm in my 40s." And I
Mhm.
just responded back. I said, "These interviews are for everyone. It's about life.
It's about life.
Watch one. Maybe you'll learn
It's about
something."
life. But you're saying about the power of people, older people with experience. I'll say people with experience who have walked the path.
Yes.
It's who have walked the path to share their stories with other people because I spoke to a group of women, and I'm very honest. I mean, I have no college education. I was at one point in my life working three jobs and which to try to make ends meet, and one of the jobs was collecting trash and selling it at flea markets. Like, so, I'd say to people, "Oh, what do you have that you want to get rid of?" And I would go get it and then sell it at flea markets. So I'm speaking at this company, and I share the story about how I worked three jobs and how difficult it was. I used to go to bed crying at night from pains in my leg, and how I would collect trash. And after the presentation was over, a younger girl came up to me, sobbing, 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 and she said to me, "Do you know I got up today?" And I said, "Oh no, another day that I'm alive." She said, "Because I keep praying every night before I go to bed. I keep praying, please, Lord, take me tonight." She said, "Because I just feel I'm in such despair and I just feel like I'm just struggling." She said, "Now, I was not coming into work today because I just was not, I was so down and I was just," she said, "So I came to work because I didn't want to work. I came to this
Mhm.
presentation just thinking that I don't have to work and deal with my, coworkers." She said, and she was sobbing. She said, "You gave me hope. You empowered me and you made me realize that there is light at the end of the tunnel." And she said, "I just want to thank you for sharing your story and not being like, oh, everything's so perfect and everything's so, because Donna, you know as well as I do, we do hear speakers who are saying, look, oh, it's such a glorious life. And oh, this is such perfect, I get up every day and, oh, it's such a perfect day. And we know that's not true.
That's not true.
We
That's
know,
not
we
true.
know
And
that.
there's so many ways to do this thing called life.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, whoa, okay. It's like, okay. So, and that's how, I mean, there are a lot of people, and, especially now with TikTok, Instagram, all you see are these perfect, like, oh, who's dressing, who's buying these, having the perfect day with the perfect family and perfect husband. And it's so it's good for people to hear. It's good for the generation coming up, people that are following behind us, to hear that, hey, I've been there, done that, and here's what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And
here's here's the possibilities that happen.
my nephew and his wife have taken that recycling other people's trash into a very lucrative business.
Oh,
They have storage units, they
oh,
are on these online platforms, they've paid off their mortgage, they're both, like, just under 40 years old, and by
mhm,
the time they're 40, they're retiring from their jobs.
yeah. Mhm.
So, there's so many ways to do this, and they started, I mean, he started when he was a little kid. He'd get his Christmas gifts, and then he'd put them up on eBay.
Well, well, my it's funny, my friend said, because she's not on eBay, but she found out that she was giving her niece gifts, and then she found out, she saw the necklace and she goes on someone else, and she said, "Where did you buy that?" And here her niece was selling it. She bought it from her niece, and she's like, "Oh," she says, "I knew it was the gift I gave her because it was such an odd necklace." And so I said to her, "Where did you get that necklace?" But you know what, Donna? I am a firm believer. So what happened was I was in a lot of debt because I was forced to move out of my home. I had one washcloth, one towel, and my clothes. So I had the job as a dental assistant, which was not paying much at all. And I needed another job. So I got a job as a hostess at night. And I have to be honest, I made it. It was a restaurant that you could not make reservations. So there was always like an hour to 2 hour
Mhm.
wait. So people would come in, they'd hand me 20, they'd hand me
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
but I still was not able to make my ends meet. So I'm like, what else can I do? I'm working during the day, during Monday through Friday. I'm hostessing at night. What could I possibly do? So then I got into selling, going to flea markets.
Mhm.
I probably made more at the flea markets than I did at both other
Yeah,
jobs.
yeah. My nephew started doing that when he was a kid. They lived near Englishtown Flea Market in New Jersey,
And you,
and he bungeed a cooler to his little red wagon, and he would fill it up with water, and he'd walk around Englishtown Flea Market selling bottles of water.
right, right.
And he was 8, 9 years old.
Yeah, and so once you get that taste, and
Yeah,
that once you get that taste,
yeah.
if you look at so many successful entrepreneurs, when they share their story, that's how they say, they go, well, I realized there was something to this when
Mhm.
I was like 6 years old and I was selling things, and making money. So that's how they start out.
Yeah,
They realize they're planting the seed to say this. There's something to this. There's really
mhm,
something to this.
yeah,
But I have to say, working the three jobs, I was able to pay off all my debts,
mhm,
and I probably made the most money selling other people's junk at the flea
yeah,
markets, more than the other combined. But
yeah.
it's not easy work. It's not easy
No,
work.
it's not easy work at all. I mean, my nephew really, I mean, him and his wife work hard, and
Mhm.
they've got 2 little kids, and they work opposite hours, so there's always somebody with their kids, so I mean, they really are they're hustling,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
they're gonna retire at 40.
Yeah. But if you, and I was determined to get out of debt. I was just so determined. And when you're determined and when you really fuel yourself to say, I want to do it, you figure it out.
Yeah,
You just figure it
yeah,
out.
you do, so many things are born out of necessity.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, my favorite show is Shark Tank, and I watch that faithfully, rerun after rerun. And you'll hear, like, how did you come up with this idea? Well, I had the problem myself, and
Mhm,
that's what it is. So many things are,
yeah.
you know,
And even when I left my job, I realized what I was doing in the job that I had, and I was like, "Well, everything that I need to do, I need to fight to get funding, or I need to fight to be able to, have somebody believe in my idea." And I just started to think, "Well, there's gotta be small businesses that need this kind of stuff," because I was just fixing all the problems.
right,
And it took a little while to get it going because of when it was. I started my business in 2006, and people didn't really have online businesses back then.
right,
So,
yeah,
I did but I did what I had to do. The reason I quit my job was I needed to be close to my son, who was 4 years old, and, I did what I had to do. I organized, a Chinese themed bat mitzvah. I organized tax papers. I cleaned out closets.
yeah,
I did all of these, like, whatever needed to be done. I would
yeah,
go to networking events. Nobody had any idea what I was talking about when I told them I had this virtual business, and they were like, "Can you clean my closet? You're gonna pay me? Sure, I can clean your
yeah,
closet."
yeah,
One woman that I mean, I worked with her for, like, 3 years, and she was paying me, like, a ridiculous amount of money to come to her house every other month to file her papers. I was like, "Okay."
Well, it's funny because you have no idea. People have no idea what people will pay for services.
Yeah. I had one guy that was paying me $75 an hour to put footers on his documents
Mhm.
because his team did not know how to put a footer on a document. So I was like, sure, you'll pay me for that. I'll show up.
Well, I think that so many people come up with an idea. So I want to do this for a business, but they're really not sure. Well, would somebody need my services?
Yeah.
But you really have no idea how many people will pay for. I mean, I pay for someone, to be honest with you. I have just one person that I pay for. She comes like every 3 months just to clean out and reorganize my closets with my clothes, like color code them, and and then I'll say I work with her, and she organizes everything and she gets it because when you're traveling, when you have a busy life, you're just
Mhm.
throwing things around, and so it's like, and I know a lot of people that a friend of mine actually pays his um, trainer, who does it virtual as well as in person, but he pays him a hefty like 70,000 a year.
Mhm.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
A lot of money. But
Yeah.
it's one on one, so you don't know what someone's willing to pay for. Because one of the things that I learned all early on with my business was know what you don't know.
Mhm.
And so I'm not tech savvy. So I hire someone to do all my technical work, because what would take me 3 hours to sit and try to figure out, why would I want to? I could be making money on the back end of that. So why would not? So I just farm that out. Know what you don't know. Know what you're not good at. Everybody's not good at everything.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
the first. I'm the first to admit I'm not good at everything. I was not meant to be good at everything. I was not meant to be good at everything. So, realize and think about what you are good at, what comes natural to you. What comes natural to you. So, for me, I had the opportunity to meet a lot of people. I had an amazing network of people. So for me, I could reach out to people and just say, "Hey, um, can you help me out? Or do you know anyone? Do you know anyone who could benefit from my services?"
Mhm.
So here's a favorite line that I have. When I was a professional clothier, here's what people say: "I don't need anything." And I say, "You're in luck, because I don't sell to the needy. I sell to people who want to look great and who want to feel great and who want to look empowered.
Mhm.
I don't sell to the needy."
That's a great
And
line.
guess what? They would go, "Okay."
Okay.
Right, that was my
Get them
favorite line
thinking.
in
Get
sales.
them thinking.
They go, "Oh, I don't need anything." I go, "Today's your lucky day, because I don't sell to the needy. I sell to people who want to look their best, who want to reach a higher level of success."
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so we've gone over on our interview time, but what I like to do at the end of these interviews, and you've already done so much of this, is to kind of leave everybody with a wisdom bomb. So something that is either actionable or something that will just inspire them.
so what I would like to leave everyone with is to do not wait another day to claim your life, your happiness, your passion, and take responsibility for who you are and who you were meant to be. And also, more important, be protective of your mind, your heart, and your body. Put those gates up. Be
Yeah,
protective of it.
that's great advice. Well, thank you, Sarah. It's always such a
Thank
pleasure to
you, Don. It's always
spend
so
time
great to it's always so great to be with you. And we go way back, right?
way back. It's got to be,
Way
I
back.
don't know, probably 14, 15 years at
Oh,
this
oh,
point, right?
easy. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
All right. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you,
Yes.
everyone, for taking the time to listen to Donna and I.
And if you're listening on the replay and you have comments or questions, just tag us and we'll come back and keep the conversation going. And we will be back next week with another interview with another incredible woman. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.